everyone, so today I thought I would weigh in on this conversation about what it means to be a blonde, given that I do color analysis and body typing and everything in between. So if you're completely new here, definitely take a look around my channel, and if you're old here, let's just get into it. You really don't need to know much about what I do in general to hopefully get something from this video. So anyway, I was inspired to talk about this because I saw a video by someone named Tiffany Ferg. Of course, a lot of you guys may know her, and she made a video about what it means to be blonde, and in it she discussed how she has always identified as blonde and how actually her hair color, if you look at her, she says in the video that this is her natural hair color. And she says in the video that, she's always lightened her hair, and at the top, at her roots, is where her natural hair color is. And you can see that that hair color is, it's literally the color brown, right? If we don't want to think about what it means to be blonde, that color in and of itself, if you were to swatch it, is a brown hair color. But I will say that I am incredibly passionate about the idea that Tiffany Ferg and people like Tiffany Ferg with this type of coloration like her are blonde. And you guys are fully blonde, in the blonde category, even though your hair, if you were just to watch it at the roots, may be this kind of brown color. And I want to discuss in this video why I think that, and it can be a little bit, the truth of the matter is it's a spectrum, right? You can be blonde, you can be brunette, you can be in the middle. But I don't think Tiffany Ferg is really in the middle. I think she is blonde, completely blonde, even though her hair is brown. Okay, so let's get into it and discuss. So this is what she looks like in a lot of her videos, and she is saying that she lightens her hair. So I'm assuming here she has had some processing done to her hair to make it look like this. And I will say that actually, to me, this hair color on Tiffany, ironically, the processed hair color looks more natural, so to speak, than the darker brown on her. And to me, this sort of implies that she is a blonde. How could it look more natural when she processes her hair than when she grows her hair out and doesn't process it? Okay, I have this theory, okay? And the theory is this. And there's more to this, but this is a part of it, okay? So imagine if Tiffany Ferg was not living in 2024, if she was living in whatever, if you're some sort of historian or whatever, you tell me, but she was basically picking berries all the time. She was just outside all the time, and she was a cave woman, but she was blonde, right? What would her hair look like? It would not look brown. It would actually probably look like this. And I think we all know that, right? And I know that people say, well, I try everything. I try using sun-in, I try this, I try that. Now, of course, as you can see, I'm not blonde, so I don't have firsthand experience with these kinds of things. But in my view, when I see someone like this, I definitely think blonde. And I think some of this conversation also has to do with broadening the scope and looking at the overall scope of colorations in the entire world. I have personally found, just through my life experience, that people who are from areas where there are a lot more lighter skinned, lighter haired people, wherever those areas may be, may actually consider Tiffany Ferg to be a brunette. But then people who are from areas like other places in the world, they may definitely consider Tiffany Ferg to be blonde. And she actually shows some of this stuff in the video that she has, so I'd really recommend you watch it. It's a really interesting video to explore this topic. But to me, she is blonde in large part because she belongs in the blonde family, because blonde looks natural on her. And so this is also, Blake Lively is a great example of this as well. Blake Lively in my book is incredibly blonde, and as I say, Tiffany Ferg, if you're watching this, in my book, you are 100% blonde for 100% kids, even if you look like this, okay? So you are completely blonde, okay? And this is, in part because, as you can see, maybe I'm a little bit on the further end of this debate, kind of definitely considering her to be blonde. But here's sort of how I view it, right? Look at her, okay? Look at Marianne Cotillard. And I would say she's probably, to me, she reads as a natural brunette. Now, I don't really care about exactly her natural hair color. If you swatch her natural hair color, it may not be that different from Tiffany Ferg's or Blake Lively's if you actually just swatch only the natural hair color at her roots. But the difference is that her coloration in general makes it so that when she dyes her hair darker, like if she were, this may be, for all we know, this is dyed hair from Marion Cotillard. You know, she's basically a brunette. She basically has like brown hair, right? But the thing is that when she dyes her hair, she looks pretty natural with brown hair. Someone like Blake Lively, someone like Tiffany Ferg, if they were to dye their hair any darker, if Tiffany were to go literally half a shade darker than what she has in this image, which is her natural color at the roots, I will tell you it's going to look very harsh on her, and it's going to look unnatural, it's going to look fake, which again is not a bad thing. However, it does, to me, suggest strongly that she belongs in the blonde family. If Tiffany were to get the right, you know, sort of undertone of blonde and everything like that, which she has done, like this is the perfect, you know, just perfect. I don't think anybody could say anything about this. That is like, this doesn't match her or something. This is the perfect hair color for her. Whatever this is, the highlights, whatever it is, okay? And this is blonde, okay? And if she were to lighten it one shade, she would still look just fine. She wouldn't look unnatural. But really, if she were to darken her hair color, you know, it would definitely look unnatural. So to me, you know, if you're a brunette, you should be able to kind of meander around the brunette family, darken your hair, lighten your hair within the brunette category, and still look pretty natural. Likewise, if you are a blonde, you should be able to sort of meander around the blonde category, one shade lighter, one shade darker. You know, it shouldn't be like this whole thing like, whoa, now you're, you know, a brunette. It's like, you know, Tiffany, she lightened her hair here. It's like, oh, that looks totally natural to me. It looks completely fine. If she were to lighten it one more shade, it would still look natural. Of course, if she were to go completely bleach blonde, it wouldn't look natural. But, you know, in general, she's in the blonde family. So is Blake Lively. They're in the blonde family. Marion is not in the blonde family. She's in the brunette family. And so to me, that's the difference. It's not so much that Marion is lighter. You know, Marion is not lighter than Blake or Tiffany. I mean, here Tiffany looks pretty light, but Tiffany goes sort of back and forth. But Blake is definitely, actually, her skin color is darker than Marion's, but that doesn't make Marion blonde just because her skin color is light, obviously. Okay, so it's really not, and Marion also has blue eyes. So it's not about this whole idea that if you are light-skinned and blue-eyed, blonde hair will necessarily look natural on you. That's definitely not the case. There are a lot of people, you know, if you're from the UK, this type of look with the dark hair and then the very blue eyes and the light skin, that can happen. You know, that doesn't mean that you are a blonde, obviously. So yeah, I think what really matters is whether or not blonde hair and lightening your hair looks natural. So to me, you know, someone like this, still considered a blonde, a natural blonde. The other thing, so I have more to say on this. I have little points. Oh yeah, look at this. I forgot I even included this picture. Obviously, Marion is not a natural blonde, and contrast that to how natural Blake looks, how natural Tiffany looks. Even though all of these three ladies are just as light in terms of their skin tone, they all three of them have like blue eyes. I'm pretty sure Blake Lively has blue eyes. So it's really not about the eye color or the skin color. It's really all about, if you're in the blonde family, lightening your hair to blonde is going to look pretty natural on you. And especially if you have this sort of like, you know, the darker blonde, you know, I think it's going to look natural on you. Of course, it doesn't look natural on her at all. Yeah, so she looks way more natural with a brown color like this, and I suspect that this is also probably a dyed hair color. You know, I suspect that her hair color is a little bit different from this. Maybe it's even a little bit lighter than this, you know, but still looks very natural on her because she's a brunette, right? And the other two are blondes. Okay, so here I have a little bullet point list, or a numbered list, of what I would consider to be, if you are wondering, what I would consider to be a natural blonde. So number one is born blonde. Now, believe it or not, I was actually born blonde. Of course, that's not true. I was not born blonde. So I think it's obvious that I wasn't born blonde. Why is it obvious? Because people who are born blonde still look blonde, okay? Even if your hair is a little bit dark or whatever, like, I don't know how to tell you this, but you still look blonde, okay? Sorry to break it to you. And the reason why, this brings me into my next point, the reason why people look blonde who were born blonde is because they usually have light eyebrows and eyelashes. And so let's take a look again all the way at Tiffany Ferg. Do you notice anything about her makeup? Do you notice her mascara? It looks literally black, and we all know that's not the color of her eyelashes, right? What's the color of my eyelashes? Literally black, okay? So my hair is like dark brown, you know, it's like brown black. It's very dark brown. And my eyelashes are literally the color black, and my eyebrows are literally the color black. Tiffany, on the other hand, she could very well have brown eyelashes, but that's really quite uncommon to have brown eyelashes or like light brown eyelashes. So that's where it comes in that she really is a blonde. She's in the blonde family. She doesn't have dark eyelashes. She doesn't have dark eyebrows. She actually had to draw, you know, more color onto her eyebrows because her eyebrows are so light. I know her eyebrows are light because she's blonde, okay? So Tiffany, if you're watching this, I really think you're blonde. Not that you asked me at all. I think you're very blonde. Yeah, and when I was watching her video, it was so interesting, like so many people's different opinions. You know, she had a compilation of like these TikToks and everything, and everybody was talking about, you know, what it means to be blonde. And you know, she was saying that some people kind of say that there's a certain identity that's tied to blonde. Now, of course, I can't speak to that, right? But I do kind of have a sense, you know, I do live in the world. I have a sense of what, you know, it could mean to be blonde, and, you know, how some people are having this crisis that, you know, they may not be blonde anymore. And what does this mean? And well, they want to be blonde. And is that a bad thing? Like, to want to be blonde because they've kind of identified as blonde, if you will, their whole life. And now they're looking at all this stuff and they're realizing, oh, I may be a brunette, you know? And to me, it's like, and they're like, oh, well, what if this is like a problem? Like, you know, I'm biased toward blonde people because blondness is like this idea of like these recessive genes. You know, I want to be blonde because it's all recessive and all of this stuff. And I don't know what's in people's hearts. I don't know why people want to be blonde. You know what I mean? But I will say that if you told me that I wasn't olive-skinned, I would be kind of having a little crisis. You know, it's like I've always been olive-skinned. I've always, I guess, identified as olive-skinned, whatever that would mean. It has nothing to do with olive-skin being a recessive trait, you know, or me wanting to be olive-skinned, like in particular, you know. It's just, I've just had olive skin my whole life. I just kind of know that I have olive skin, so it's not that great. If somebody told me, you don't, you know, or if I just started to think, oh, maybe I don't have olive skin. Likewise, if you're blonde, I personally don't think it means anything about you necessarily. If you're like, oh, well, I identify as blonde, you know what I mean? Like, of course you do, because you are blonde, okay? Like, Tiffany Ferg is blonde. As far as I'm concerned, Blake Lively is blonde. And that's why Tiffany Ferg, you know, probably identifies as blonde, is because she is blonde, right? As far as I'm assuming she's identifying as blonde, if I understood her video correctly. So I think she's blonde. Yeah, so she was born blonde, probably. She has light eyebrows, light eyelashes, and then, you know, the whole thing with lightening the hair, I think that's the most important thing, and that's sort of like my, I guess, contribution to this conversation is, if you're in the blonde family, you ought to be able to kind of meander around the blonde family and still look natural, which is what's happening with Tiffany Ferg. She often lightens her hair and it looks completely natural. The reason why it looks natural is because it is natural, because if she were to spend 12 hours a day in the sun, her hair would look as blonde as she probably lightens it to be. Maybe people will argue, oh, not exactly, but it would look blonde. Again, contrast that to how my hair would look if I spent 12 hours in the sun. Not like Tiffany's, okay? I think we all know that. So I consider her to be in the blonde family because of that. And then, of course, natural brunettes, you know, same thing. They're born brunette. They have dark eyebrows and eyelashes. That's why brunette, like brown hair, looks natural on them, because they already have those darker features to match. Like the other, like, hair that they have, like the eyelashes and the eyebrows, is also dark, right? So it kind of all makes sense because they're brunettes, they're not blondes. And darkening hair to pure black looks unnatural, and lightening hair to blonde also looks unnatural. You guys, anyone who wants to come for me and tell me that my hair is black, do not, okay? Because I have dyed my hair black. I was totally like into all this emo stuff in high school, back in whatever, okay? And I dyed my hair black. And I don't even have photos because it looked so atrocious. So anyway, it's not black. And I'm in the brunette family because black hair looks really harsh on me. So the next thing is, why do blondes lighten their hair, right? And my theory really is that it's because, well, I should say that it's my theory that it's because it may look more natural in a way for blondes to slightly lighten their hair when they're in this category, because I do think that if we were all living a lifestyle where we spent more time outside, Tiffany's hair would actually end up looking like this naturally. And so ironically, in a weird way, this could actually be closer to her so-called natural hair color, even though it's a little bit processed, you see? And so I think that a lot of blondes are inclined to lighten their hair because of this reason, because they have this sense or this feeling that it may look more natural on them or something, and they may be drawn to lighten their hair. That's another reason that it could be. Of course, it could be for a host of other reasons, because of certain beauty standards and all kinds of things, but that is something that has nothing to do with that. It has nothing to do with beauty standards or insecurity or anything like that. It could simply be that this is actually what Tiffany's hair would look like if she were always in the sun. Now, maybe it wouldn't look like that. I don't know. Maybe Tiffany has had a summer where she has been in the sun for 8 hours a day. I don't know. And what did her hair look like then? I don't know. Maybe it looked closer to this. Blake's hair, I can kind of see this happening. And I wonder if that's also kind of the same reason why some blonde people like to tan as well, right? Blake kind of has this look that's more like the sun-kissed look, and so that means that the hair is lighter and the skin is tanner, and that's definitely a look. And I think that kind of can mimic what Blake would look like, Blake Lively would look like if she were a cave woman, right, with this coloration, who spent 8 hours out in the sun, right? And it looks perfectly natural, it looks perfectly nice, and yeah, so I think that may be one reason why people lighten their hair. They may not really be aware, that for some reason they may prefer, or a lot of people may prefer it simply because of that, but we may not know why. It's because we're kind of like, I don't know, we just think that that's what it's like. And the other thing is that I would say most people probably consider people like Blake Lively to be blonde. And again, the reason for that is because we all know, if we look at Tiffany's hair at the roots, right, we all know full well that her eyelashes are probably pretty light and her eyebrows are probably pretty light. And we all know full well that she doesn't have my hair color, right? And we kind of know that. And I could go on and on talking about how, well, I have actually pretty light skin, which is kind of true, okay? But at the same time, it's not, I do have light skin right now, but if I were to spend 8 hours a day in the sun, I would have pretty dark skin, okay? And I think we all know that. So it's kind of like, that's probably why I am considered to be kind of a deeper coloration, right, in part. And also because, of course, my skin is a little bit darker than, Tiffany's is, but in general, that's the same train of thought that we have. Like, we have associations, and we're correct and we're right. It's not like a false association or something. We kind of tend to know what a person, like which group of people a person looks like. Like, Tiffany looks like someone who, if they spent 8 hours a day in the sun, her hair would be blonde and her skin would be tan, and I look like if I spent 8 hours a day in the sun, my skin would be pretty dark, like pretty olive and kind of like medium or whatever, medium deep. And so that's kind of like what we know when we kind of have an overall feel for someone's coloring. We're not just looking at color swatches. We're not just looking at the color swatch of Tiffany's, roots. We're looking at the whole feel. Now, if I were to type Tiffany, I would probably place her into being a high contrast person in my color system. And I'm sorry, Tiffany, I may even just put it, I may even put it in the description, like what I would color type her. And so, okay, but I haven't done a full like assessment of her color type in my system, but I may not. I don't know. I haven't really decided, but I would definitely put her into high contrast. And I put a lot of blonde people into high contrast, meaning, you know, they can really do darker colors, and it's because their roots are actually kind of dark in and of themselves. You can see, of course, Tiffany's roots are kind of dark, right? And so I will put them in high contrast because they can really handle some like darker colors just because of how, if you like make their photo black and white, their roots can be pretty dark. So yeah, I don't hesitate to put someone like Tiffany into like medium to high contrast because her skin is quite light and her hair is quite dark, but that doesn't mean that she's not in the blonde family. Anyway, I've belabored this point for far too long. And yeah, anyway, let me know your thoughts. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you are interested in being color typed by me, or getting a body typing done by me, or getting the full report, you can take a look in the description. I have links to how you can get that done below. And of course, take a look around my channel. I have literally so many videos that will just like tell you how to color type yourself, how to body type yourself, and everything in between. The full report service has everything. So it has the color typing, it has the body typing, and it has like kind of like a small section on essence as well, and how everything comes together, how your body type can affect your color type, which it can affect your color type. I have a video called Why You Don't Believe in Color Analysis, something like that, where I talk about how body type can really affect color type sometimes, and I think that can be the missing piece for a lot of people. I know there's been a lot of interest in color analysis, so that is something to keep in mind, is if you're interested in color analysis, you are by proxy also interested in body typing. You just have to know how your bone structure, how your features will affect your colors, because sometimes they really, really can. Not always, but sometimes. Yeah, so that's about it. I hope you enjoyed this video. Again, leave me some comments, and I will talk to you next time. Okay, bye.